What's up? What's up? Walk and talk. Out here walking at night. I already did my walk in the daytime. I just felt like walking at night. So I want to tell y'all something so y'all can be aware, especially those, particularly those who are in the so-called spiritual, metaphysical community. Um, there are a lot of people who call themselves certain, they're into Vodun, Voodoo, Ifa, Orisha, Contemplate, whatever. Okay, so Voodoo, I'm just learning that Voodoo and Vodun are different. Voodoo, that's Haiti. Vodun, that's more like Africa, Nigeria, Yoruba. All right, so they're two different systems. They may have a lot of similarities, but they are not the same. So I was talking with my, she's a medium. She's a spiritual advisor. She is a medium, but I see her as my spiritual advisor. And I call her whenever I'm in a rut. I'm confused, something happened, and da-da-da. So we had a conversation. We talked for a little over an hour. And she started talking about, I think I asked her, I said, I've talked to certain people about getting initiated. The last time I had a reading by a Babalao, he said, you need to be initiated. He said, Vodun. So I talked to a couple of people about getting the initiation. Or I talked to a Mambo, and then I talked to an actual voodoo priestess. Now, just in case I said it wrong, the Babalao told me I needed to be initiated into voodoo, not Vodun, okay? He said voodoo. All right, so I was looking around to see who could do the initiation. I talked to a Mambo, and I talked to a voodoo high priestess here, very well known here, and where I'm at. And, they gave me the price and stuff like that. And I was like, well, that's kind of steep for my pockets, but I could just maybe get it up, make a deal with them, and, stuff like that. And so I can get initiated and pay as I go or whatever. So, but neither one felt like they were the right ones for me. And I really wanted to get into hoodoo because that is more, that's more American culture, Black American culture. Hoodoo, that's more us. That's basically strictly us. And I wanted to get into that. So I had the read, and I had a few questions. Her name is Cree Cree. She's the baddest medium spiritual reader. Oh my God, she is awesome. So I asked her, because when they do your reading, they look deep into your spirit and they access very sensitive parts of yourself. They can do that because they're strong enough. That's why you got to be careful who you let read you. So I was asking her, which one do you think would be best for me to be initiated into? Is it voodoo or is it hoodoo? So the bottom line, she said hoodoo would be more appropriate for you, but the thing is you have to be initiated into Ifa and Voodoo and Vodun and all those other spiritual belief systems, but you don't have to be initiated into hoodoo. That's not a requirement. You just need to study up on the rules and regulations of hoodoo, and you have to learn to be more intensely involved in communicating with your ancestors, because all of them are about ancestors. Voodoo is about ancestral veneration, but it requires an initiation. Ifa, even though you work with the Loa and Voodoo and the Orisha in Ifa, is still ancestral veneration, but you have to be initiated. You don't have to be initiated in Hoodoo. You just have to learn the system. And it is primarily, or should be, lineage based. Anybody can learn Voodoo. Anybody can learn Vodun or whatever. Santeria or whatever. All right. As far as I know concerning Santeria. So we came to the conclusion that Hoodoo would be best for me. So she started talking about how these people who initiate you into these very, very serious spiritual traditions, and how they make you think, or they charge you these exorbitant fees, thousands of dollars. You got to go to Haiti on top of thousands of dollars, thousands of more dollars. And you got to go to Africa, to the Yoruba people. That's going to be another 10,000. She said that is BS, bullshit. She is directly up under a voodoo priest. And she didn't say, I think he's from Haiti. She said if she told him that she talked to me, and I told her that I was being required to pay thousands of dollars to be initiated and have to go all out of countries to be initiated, she said he would just fall out. She said he would have a fit. She said that is a money grab. All right. That's a money grab. And they're basically robbing us. For number one, don't get me wrong. Let me put my disclaimer in. I don't believe they should do this work for free. Yes, they should charge. This is their time. Their time. And then really you can't pay enough to be initiated into special spiritual belief systems such as Voodoo, Vodun, and Ifa. You can't pay. People ain't got enough money, so they should charge a fee. But they're really using people and abusing people, because somebody off the streets who have never had an altar, they don't know nothing about spiritual or ancestral veneration, which is at the base of any major belief system. Okay, ancestor veneration. You cannot not believe in ancestral veneration and be initiated. That don't make no sense. All right. So she's saying that they just taking people off the streets and trying to initiate them, taking all this money from them, and that's not how you do it. First off, you have to be ready to be initiated into Ifa and Voodoo and all that. You have to be ready. You already have to be at a certain level with communing with your ancestors and approaching them and putting all the energy into them and learning how to give offerings. You can't just always go to your ancestors and always ask them for something and not give anything in return. And a lot of what most of them, all of what they ever want is very simple things: rice, a cup of coffee, some pennies, nickels and dimes or something. Put it on the altar, and then there's a way to commune with them. You might have to light a candle, light some incense, give them some smoke. That's incense. That's an offering too. Smoke from an incense, or sometimes from a cigar. Or a cigarette. All right. So you don't just take. It's a mutual relationship, but you should already be in a strong place in that pertain ancestral veneration, in a strong place concerning all of your basic spiritual practices, like learning how to do your own herbal baths, and knowing why you're doing it and what you're doing it for. Okay. There are a lot of other things. I mean, it's not really like, I don't want to make it seem complicated, because I don't want you to end up making it complicated in your own mind, because that's what I do. I tend to complicate simple things. That's just how I do. Hey, how you doing? So I don't want you to look at it as complicated, because it's not. Get a book and read. Now you can get a simple reading from in a priestess or a mambo or something like that, to see what which deity is over your head, which lawal rules your head, or whatever, or what orisha is covering your head. You can do that. But as far as going into being initiated and just throwing you into the pot, they're not supposed to do that, baby. That's all about money. That's all about money. And you don't need to go all the way to Yoruba, Nigeria, and get initiated, which costs about 10,000 or more. Some people have spent more. 10 grand. They said that's a shame that these people over here calling themselves mambos and ears and stuff like that are tricking people like that. They said that is not a requirement, at least not an initial requirement, or a requirement at all, because there are certain levels that you I'm just turning around levels that you go to get to the higher levels. Okay, it's a process, and you might not want to be a high priest or priestess. You might just want to be a mambo, or you might just settle for what they said, Lafitat or something like that. Excuse me if I'm not saying that right. Everybody's not meant to be Ianifa or Babalao, or all the other high spiritual places that people have been initiated to, because they worked their way up. That might not be for you, okay? And every particular spiritual system might not be for you. You might want to be initiated into Ifa, and that's not for you. You might not need to be initiated at all. Like Voodoo doesn't require initiation. It just requires that you study the system and learn about the system so you can practice it correctly. And that might be all you need. But you don't go and get any initiation first. You work with your ancestors first. You do not need to spend a dime with anybody to work with your ancestors first. Okay? You need to get that down pat. Because she was saying that if you can't be persistent and serious about ancestral veneration with your own people, your own ancestors that you knew, most that you don't know, but the ones that you knew especially, you ain't gonna make it with the Loals, because they require discipline from you as an initiate. So you don't want to go messing with things that you're not familiar with, things that basically you're not familiar with. You don't know what the hell you're doing, and they probably are not explaining that part to a lot of people. So all you all who want to get initiated, go ahead, whatever, find which is best for you. You can get a reading, and they'll tell you, they'll say, you know what, Ifa is not for you, Vodun is not for you, Voodoo is not for you, Santeria is not for you, Candomblé is not from you, and yada yada. All right, because everything is not for everybody. But your first line of work and initiation is with you and your ancestors, sweetheart. Not with high priest, high priestess, mambo, ifat, babalao, but your ancestors. That's where you start first, and then you move up from there. Okay, so I just wanted to make this video for y'all. I hope that it helps you all on your spiritual path and help you find your way and not be used and abused by people that basically see a dollar sign when they see you come in peace. Thank you for listening to this video. Please like and share and subscribe to the channel. I'd appreciate it. Peace, peace, peace.